Some people get diagnosed in a therapist's office. Some figure it out at 3:12 a.m. through tears, research tabs, and a notebook full of patterns. Some never get answers at all. And somehow, society decided there's a hierarchy of who deserves compassion. Today, we're ending that conversation. What is mental wealth? We hear phrases like mental illness constantly, but almost never mental wealth. Mental wealth is the idea that your mind is not merely a list of symptoms to suppress. It's an ecosystem, a climate, a living archive. Your emotional awareness, coping skills, boundaries, relationships, rest, nutrition, environment, finances, spirituality, nervous system, creativity, and self-understanding all affect your quality of life. Getting diagnosed does not erase your humanity. It doesn't revoke your intelligence. It doesn't make you dangerous, broken, weak, dramatic, lazy, attention-seeking, or doomed. A diagnosis is information. Information is not a prison sentence. It's a flashlight. Self-diagnosis versus clinical diagnosis. Let's talk about the elephant in the waiting room. Self-diagnosis versus clinical diagnosis. Clinical professionals can provide structured assessments, medical oversight, treatment pathways, documentation, accommodations, and safety support. That matters deeply. But many people begin recognizing themselves long before they ever enter a clinic. Some people cannot afford healthcare. Some were dismissed because of race, gender, culture, disability, sexuality, age, or income. Some grew up in households where mental health was treated like a ghost nobody acknowledged. So people research quietly, observe patterns quietly, survive quietly. Self-diagnosis should not replace professional care when someone is in danger or needs medical treatment. But self-recognition can still be meaningful. Sometimes self-diagnosis is not someone wanting attention. Sometimes it's the first moment someone realizes, I'm not failing at being human. There may actually be a reason I've been struggling. The stigma machine. Stigma thrives in silence, and silence creates performance. People learn to hide panic attacks behind professionalism, depression behind humor, ADHD behind burnout, autism behind masking, trauma behind hyper-independence. Society often rewards people for appearing emotionally convenient. But healing is not a performance review. Someone newly diagnosed may grieve, not because they're defective, but because suddenly their entire life recontextualizes itself. They may think, that's why my friendships felt hard. That's why I exhausted myself. That's why I felt different. That's why I couldn't just try harder. Diagnosis can bring relief and mourning at the same time. Like finally receiving the map to a maze you've already been crawling through for years. What people newly diagnosed actually need. People newly diagnosed do not need interrogation, they need support. Listening, stability, education, community, patience. access to care, safety, dignity. They need room to ask questions without being mocked. They need accurate information instead of algorithmic fear spirals. They need environments where they can exist without constantly proving their suffering is real enough. And most importantly, they need to understand that a diagnosis is not their entire identity. You are still allowed to laugh loudly, build businesses, fall in love, travel, create art, parent children, learn new skills, rest, change careers, start over at 37, start over at 63. The human mind is not a factory defect report. It is weather, it is architecture, it is electricity learning new pathways. Mental wealth practices. If you're newly diagnosed, whether self-identified or clinically diagnosed, here are a few mental wealth practices that may help. 1. Track patterns, not perfection. Notice triggers, energy shifts, emotional cycles, focus patterns, sleep, overstimulation, and environments. Build a regulation toolkit. This can include therapy, journaling, medication, movement, hydration, breathing exercises, spiritual practices, music support groups, boundaries, nutrition, or structured routines. Stop comparing healing timelines. Your nervous system is not late. Curate your information diet. Not every creator online is informed, ethical, or healthy for you. Separate shame from responsibility. You are still accountable for your actions, but accountability grows better in compassion than humiliation. To every person watching this who was recently diagnosed, whether it happened in a clinic, through research, through community conversations, or through finally recognizing yourself in someone else's story, you are not crazy. You are not a burden. You are not less worthy of love, work, respect, or belonging. Understanding your mind is not weakness, it is literacy. And literacy creates choices. Choices create healing, healing creates freedom. Your diagnosis may explain parts of your story, but it does not get to narrate your entire future. Subscribe for conversations on mental wealth, healing, and human dignity. Share this with someone who needs gentleness instead of judgment.